Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? It is, what is it? Tuesday. It's Mars Day technically, and the moon is in Cancer. It's November 19th now. And yeah, it's still Scorpio season. And the ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is about to move into Aquarius for the next 20 years in T-minus 13 hours. So it technically moves into Aquarius at 12:40 in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, this has been long anticipated. I'm sure all of the cardinal signs are happy to have this energy move off of that last degree. So that would be Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra, and yeah, those signs have been going through it since 2008. And yeah, as Capricorn rising, I moved to San Francisco 2007, and now yeah, it's starting to that story is starting to finish. This chapter is starting to close, and I mean, I have a lot of fixed energy in my chart, so it's easier said than done to get some things off the ground. But everything in divine timing, right? So now we are moving into Aquarius, which is an air sign, and Aquarius is covers a lot of things. You know, there's more stories about the UFO sightings that are coming from the ocean. We'll be probably hearing and seeing more of that action. Aquarius is also enlightenment, experimentation, AI, robots. You know, going beyond our limitations, beyond our expectations, our understanding. And it can be a very detached, like an emotionally detached sign as well. So it can be it can feel like a very cold era, but that just makes it that much more important for us to stay in our heart center. So if we think about the opposite sign, Leo is ruled by the heart and creativity, and really just finding that joy in whatever lights your fire, and having no fear or hesitation about expressing yourself. And that's going to become more, what is that word? It is imperative. It'll be more imperative as we go along. And there's always the light and dark side of every planet and sign. And so with Pluto being a very powerful sign, it's, you know, the ruler of Scorpio, which is all about having power. If you think about plutocracy is connected to the riches and the jewels and the valuable minerals that are underground, that are hidden. And when you have that valuable, like gold, it's also something that you have to like pan for, and it's, you know, it's very much sought after. So if you have this valuable, rare resource, then you kind of hold that power. And so Pluto is the planet of power, and it has to be used very mindfully, because then there's also Saturn involved that will, you know, kind of teach us those lessons on how to not abuse it, which is, you know, what we've kind of been through the past, 16 years with Pluto and Capricorn. So all of the integrity lacking behavior that we've been experiencing with the corporations and governments, they're starting to get we're starting to see the consequences of those actions. And so Pluto being the sign of power, it's in the beginning stages of Aquarius, and so we're going to have a lot of empowerment on how to use the things and learn the things that are Aquarius related, like AI, robots, technology, innovation, a lot of far out ideas, like, you know, there could be a lot more experimentation with psychedelics, you know, things that take us beyond our reality. And we do have to be kind of careful, because I've spoken about the planetary nodes. I've mentioned them in a couple of videos. I guess it's been a few months now, but each planet, like the moon, has a north and south node. So the north node of the moon currently is in Aries, and the south node of the moon is in Libra, and we're about to finish those up, and they move backwards. So when they move into the next sign, it's going to be in Pisces. So Pisces comes before Aries in zodiacal order, and it's going to enter through the last degrees. So it'll move into Pisces. The north node will move into Pisces starting at 29 degrees, and then it'll move backwards, just like it moved from Taurus into Aries at 29 degrees. And so when it's finishing Aries, it finishes at 0 degrees. And so the direct opposite is the South Node, which is currently at around 3 degrees Libra. So when it moves backwards, they move, kind of like in opposing tandem, I guess you could say. And the South Node will be in Virgo. So each planet also has the nodes as well, and North and South Node. And the North and South Node of Neptune is on the Aquarius Leo axis. So the North Node is in Leo. So that's the direction that we want to move toward, and that is like the Neptune energy's destiny. And then the South Node of Neptune is Aquarius. And today it is the North Node is at 14 degrees Leo, and the South Node is at 10 degrees Aquarius. And so, I mean, we, as far as Pluto goes, it won't reach those degrees for maybe 6 or 8 years, but it's still in that energy of Aquarius and Leo. So we do want to strive and, it's not like one or the other. We want to integrate the two, ideally, which, we're taking the good parts of Aquarius, which is humanitarianism, collectivism, like seeing the group as a whole, and rather than like fragmented. And Leo is all about the I. I forget who was coined with, who's credited for coining like the idea or phrase how Leo is the star and Aquarius is the constellation. So it's that idea of burning as bright as you can individually and authentically. Like that's part of the Aquarius side that we want to integrate into the Leo part of this axis is authenticity. And this is a period of 20 years that we are really given the permission to shine as bright as you possibly can with integrity, and coming into your joy, doing the things that bring you joy without having to worry about whether it's going to make you money or not, whether or not it's going to bring you fame. Just doing it for the pure joy of it, because that kind of energy is what's going to burn your light brighter, and that's what we need right now to keep us human, basically. Like, we don't want to lose that heart connection with ourselves, because as long as we have that burning brightly in ourselves, then we can see each other for who we are, and then we can create our true soul families, like the structure and the traditions that we have been so used to for generations are going to shift and be restructured. So there's actually a channeler. Her name is Alunia Noel. My friend Leanne introduced me to her recently. Leanne Unasa, you should check her out. Her YouTube is I Am Heart's Light, and she does amazing work graphically and musically. And she's just a wealth of information. We can talk for hours. He is able to really clearly bring through these, angel guides that have all these universal messages. And she has a recent one from October where she was in Egypt, and she was able to channel all these messages from the pyramids. I mean, she, connected with, her higher self connected with the energy of the pyramids and asked if there were any messages that they wanted to share with the collective. And I mean, they're really mind-blowing. They're just, you can tell that there is a shift in her energy when her messages come through. So there's going to be a lot more UFO presence, geological shifts, and restructuring of family traditions. And so we're going to be taking off our masks. We're going to be a lot more authentic. Or it's like, I don't know if you even want to call it vulnerability, because that's more of a I guess I see it as more of a timid sort of feeling, but just taking off our masks, figuratively and literally, to the point of Like there's just, it is what it is. There's no shame. There's only acceptance. And we're going to really come into that Aquarius like authentic, Aquarius is known to be rebellious, but like it's even more than that. It's like less about being rebellious and more about just not giving a fuck about the status quo. And we've kind of been seeing bits and pieces of that over the past few years, because Pluto dipped into Aquarius in, was it 2023? And then it like retrograded back, and then it did that for a couple times over the past year or two. And so we've seen this kind of rebellious, or what's been perceived to be as rebellious energy, where it's just people, like seeing through the veil and not wanting to put on this facade of, being whatever it is that they were programmed to be, like this, go to college, go to medical school, grad school, and become this, XYZ, and knowing deep down in your heart that's not, not for everyone. It wasn't for everyone, and it was more to please the family in some way, whether it was your parents or pressure from your friend group, college friends, whatever the pressure was. And we have to remember that the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and Uranus liberates what has been suppressed. Like suddenly, like the pressure is intolerable. And when it gets to that point, that's when Uranus can give you these sudden breakthroughs, and it can feel very disruptive. Like, people around you may be shocked at, what seems to be like all of a sudden decisions to quit your job, or, like dye your hair, whatever it might be. There's the Aquarian or the Uranian energy of like sudden, like, I can't take it anymore, or, this is where I'm going, you can't stop me. And that's where the rebellious nature of Aquarius comes from, is that like, just not wanting to be suppressed anymore. And so we can see that in the sign of Taurus right now, like Uranus being in the sign of Taurus for, let's see, a few more, I think mid 2025 is when Uranus moves into Gemini. While it is in Taurus, it's affecting our stability and our foundation, our possessions. Like a lot of us are getting rid of, either getting rid of or repurposing our belongings, whether we're trading or just like breaking things down and just keeping what is actually useful, like it might be some sort of obsolete appliance and we take it for parts, something like that. And that's very Uranus and Taurus. And maybe we're like, using it to use in a camper truck, or like a van, like a rolling home type of situation. So yeah, there's been so many cool like videos that I've seen. I'm just like inhale, because I had been considering that option as well, like repurposing little things in my home where I'm like, do I still need this? Wait, this still has a purpose. Like I could, salvage this and use it in a are they mobile homes basically, camper vans. But so yeah, Uranus is currently retrograde in Taurus, and it will be moving into Gemini. July 7th is when Uranus moves into Gemini, 7/7/2025. And so when Uranus moves into Gemini, it will create a trine, a nice harmonious flow with Pluto in Aquarius. And that I don't think has happened. I didn't look at I didn't go in my Wayback Machine and look up when the last Uranus-Pluto trine in those signs in Aquarius and Gemini were. But the trines are very harmonious aspects. And these will be the times when things are going to be moving very fast. Uranus is already a erratic kind of energy, and sudden insight, sudden snaps and unexpected events, which can make the ball start rolling like even faster. And in the sign of Gemini, Gemini is a mercurial sign. It's like, that squirrel energy, where it is already like Gemini already has, has their thoughts on what to say next, like anticipating, what the next punchline will be. And with Uranus and Gemini, that's going to feel like, what do you call it, multiplied by 1,000, where with every action comes an equal and opposite reaction. So every action, every thought, every word will receive the equal and opposite reaction in that much more speed. Like it'll even be a faster speed of reaction. And in a trine to Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to affect the collective, like not just affect the collective, but like transform the collective, because it's Pluto. And it's going to affect or transform the collective consciousness. And so it's really important to mind your thoughts and make sure that the energy and like the charge that you are infusing into your thoughts and words and whatever you're writing and whatever you're taking in, also like visually, audibly, like the information that you're taking in, make sure that it is productive for the collective as well, not just for yourself, but we have to make sure that we're using our discernment and intuition that we learn, that we are currently learning with Saturn and Pisces, and to apply it to everyday life. Like so that we're not having the wool pulled over our eyes anymore. Like we have to, really pay attention to the media that we're taking in. I think it's pretty common knowledge now that the mainstream media is not trustworthy, and they've just been bought out by corporations to follow a certain narrative. And so now that we are well aware of that, we can make our own judgments as to what to believe and what to not give our attention to. So Uranus and Pluto will be in a harmonious trine, and energies or people with placements in Libra, which is the other air sign, the third air sign, will have this like sense of relief where they can really come into their authenticity. They don't have to kind of sacrifice their own needs and wants for obligations, like relationships that just don't feel aligned anymore. I mean, we're going through this South Node in Libra right now where we've been letting go, like slowly but surely, like releasing and shedding, relationships, things, material things, because it's a Venus ruled sign, like all these, whatever it might be, clothes, jewelry, things that we feel, gave us some value. But now we realize that it's just superficial and it doesn't really have any more purpose than it doesn't have any real intrinsic value. And so with the trine to Pluto and Aquarius, it's going to, the choices that we make as far as, whatever we're buying or relationships that we get into are going to have a much more, a much heavier kind of, I don't want to say heavy, but like, because it's an air sign, but, there's going to have to be more depth to the relationships, and like the choices that we put into whatever we buy is going to have, more sustainability, and it's got to make sense. It's just got to make sense with what you're putting your money toward. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of fast moving changes, shifts. So like now would be a good time to lighten your load and expect the unexpected, like truly. Uranus, when does Uranus go into? Oh yeah, July 7th. So between now and July, we have this time to, while, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is also Venus ruled. So again, a lot to do with our possessions and learning to shed those possessions, because, they will not be going with us into the future. We're going to have a lot more efficient technologies where those possessions won't be necessary, and the sentimental value that we're going to that we probably attach to these things, we're getting those lessons in kind of letting go of them and accepting that they've had their moment and it's time to move on. And it's going to be easier said than done, of course. Jupiter is going to move into Cancer June 9th of 2025, and Cancer is all about family and memories and heirlooms and, you know, things that remind you of your family, things that have been passed down. And it will square, you know, placements in Aries as well as Libra. And a lot of people have Chiron in Aries. And Saturn and Neptune will also be moving into Aries. So there's going to be that aspect of tension where, you know, we're kind of torn with letting go of some of these memories and like the familial connections that, you know, we, like some of us, that's all we know. But again, like the structure is going to there's going to be a lot of restructuring with traditions, and so it's something that we just, you know, want to go ahead and embrace and understand that it's meant to allow us to move forward in a much lighter manner, so that we're not weighed down. You know, we are able to evolve easier when we don't have things like pulling us back or weighing us down. Yeah, hopefully this microphone works a little bit better on this like random clip. So kind of scrappy, but yeah, there were some other things about Pluto in Aquarius that I found very interesting. And the Pluto in Leo and Pluto in Scorpio generations may have the most difficult time of this era, because it's going to be challenging their, you know, stubborn beliefs and ways of operating. Like Leo and Scorpio and Aquarius as well as Taurus are all fixed signs, and so they get into, you know, certain ways of being, and it's pretty much impossible to change their mind. And Pluto is, you know, the energy that's going to like rip the band-aid off and uproot things and, you know, pull things from its core to regrow and regenerate and transform. And so with Pluto and Aquarius opposing Pluto and Leo, like the generation of Pluto and Leo is from 1939 to 1957. So we probably have parents or grandparents who were born during those years, 1939 to 1957, who may be going through difficult times accepting the changes of Pluto and Aquarius. You know, Aquarius is more about the collective. It's very technological, very advanced, and, you know, outer spacey, and it can be overwhelming for Pluto and Leo generation when, you know, Pluto and Leo, that time, that era of 1939 to 1957 was all about having a good time, and the glitz and glamour, you know, Marilyn Monroe, and, you know, just being seen, and, you know, pearls and all the champagne, and just being in that unabashedly expressive joy, you know, just having a good time. You know, there's dancing and singing, like, and we need that. We need those expressions of creativity. And, you know, Leo is the north node of Neptune. Neptune is all about creativity and imagination and, you know, that dreamy fantasy world. And so we want to hold on and, you know, retain the high vibrations of Leo. But it's a process. It's like a grieving process, because, you know, Pluto is death and rebirth. So there's things that Pluto in Aquarius is going to reflect back to the Pluto and Leo generation, where they're going to kind of have this, it can be a rude awakening, but it doesn't have to be a rude awakening. It can just be an awakening of what no longer serves about the Leo archetype, whether it's, you know, materialism, or, you know, like greed for the limelight, you know, just attention seeking just for the sake of attention, rather than inspiration. You know, like both signs, Leo and Aquarius, are very inspiring signs. So, and Aquarius is really able to express from the heart very naturally. Like it's ruled by the sun, and which, by the way, I forgot to mention, it's the sun hour at the moment. And so the sun is, you know, what we rely on for light and warmth and all kinds of solar energy and power. And so Leo is used to being like that light that shines on everyone. And that's part of the Leo archetype that we want to retain. But, you know, there's a spectrum, you know, of all these energies where we all fall in between. And so it's going to be a lesson of learning what to retain and what to let go of. And so Pluto and Leo, and then, you know, just have grace with this generation. The speed at which we're going to be learning these lessons can be really overwhelming, like I said, with Uranus and a trine to Pluto. So Pluto and Leo generation can, I imagine, will be overwhelmed with just the amount of newness that is coming online, like just technologically, you know, having to remember how different things are operating, going from rotary dialed telephones to, you know, now we probably have those like screens that float where you can just kind of, I don't know, tap the molecules in the air, who knows, flying cars. And then Pluto in Scorpio, which is 1983 to 1995, is going to experience the square. So it's going to be a Pluto square with Pluto in Aquarius. And yeah, Scorpio is more of the emotional depths, and there can be like suspicion around some of these technological advances. And Aquarius is emotionally detached. You know, it's more practical and, you know, less emotional. So the 83 to 95 generation, it'll be interesting to hear how they are experiencing things. I guess that's the is it the Gen X? No, wait, Millennials and Gen Z, I believe. So, okay, yeah, that's just a heads up, you know. Pluto in Leo, 1939 to 1957, and Pluto in Scorpio, 1983 to 1995, can feel like power plays too. There could be like a power struggle going on, especially with the Pluto and Scorpio generation. But some of the other things that I found, and like Pluto and Taurus was way beyond, like way back 1853 to 1884. So unless you're a vampire, I don't think anybody's alive that was born during that time. Well, and again, like, so anybody in fixed signs, anybody who has like their sun, moon, rising, north or south node, their personal planets, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, even in the fixed signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, will be experiencing aspects of tension to those points, or your ascendant, descendant, midheaven. Like if you have your midheaven in any of the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, then this Pluto and Aquarius is going to affect you. I have my midheaven at in Scorpio in the beginning degrees, and yeah, when it goes back into Aquarius, it's going to not be fun again. I think I might have mentioned it when, you know, just like trying to navigate my way around the city, like big old tech buses just seem to be in a rush to not allow pedestrians to cross the street, even though they had the right of way. I mean, yeah. So, yay, looking forward to that. But yeah, this is going to be 20 years of like a global consciousness reset, divine justice, and awakening of humanity. And this has happened before, like so the shift from Pluto and Aquarius Pluto and Capricorn, the shift from Pluto and Capricorn to Pluto and Aquarius has happened before, and it happened during, you know, the United States independence from the monarchy. And that was, 1776 was when Pluto was transiting out of Capricorn, and then it moved into Aquarius around, 1777? Yeah, 1777, and then it retrograded back into Capricorn before really moving into Aquarius again. And that was when we had the American Revolution and the French Revolution. And this was before Uranus was discovered. This was discovered, which Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. Uranus was discovered in 1781, March 13th, 1781, by William Herschel, a British-German astronomer. And so the traditional ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. And during this time of the U.S. Independence, Saturn was in Libra, answer justice. In the sign of Libra, that's, really maintaining relationships, and it can be like the shadow side of this placement is like harsh evaluation of fairness or justice. And so Saturn and Libra, like we can see this play out in courts where, especially when it comes to racism, where, the defendant is, a person of color, and the judge or the courts or whatever is not making a fair judgment. There's these biases, and there's a rigid sense of right and wrong. And so now, today, Saturn is moving into Aries with Neptune. Another interesting thing about the USA chart in relation to Pluto and Aquarius, the US's North and South Node is in Leo and Aquarius. So the South Node is at 6 degrees Aquarius. And it'll be a few years before Pluto transits over the South Node of the US at 6 degrees. But and the South Node again is like where things go to dissolve, diminish, like just gets released or soul. Pluto is going to be transiting back and forth over the US South Node the first half of 2027. So, as well as a nodal reversal later in the year. It'll be a Chiron return in February of 2025. It's the fact that Uranus was discovered in 1781 was after America's revolution. It tells me that Uranus wants to break free from restrictions and from the rules and suppression. And so Uranus's placement now in a trine to Pluto, and soon to be in a sextile to Saturn, the traditional ruler of Aquarius, the wife, tells me that we are making some really advanced moves that keeps the collective in mind. It's more about experimentation and humanitarianism, really waking up humanity. But another thing that I found interesting that is taking place in Aquarius is Chariklo. Chariklo is an asteroid who was the wife of Chiron, the wounded healer. And the discovery chart, and Melanie Reinhardt has done a lot of research on Chariklo, and you can go to her website and she's got all the information in the discovery chart. Chariklo was discovered in 1997, and when Chariklo was found in the sky, Chariklo was at 6 degrees Leo, which is the north node of the U.S. And so I thought that was a pretty significant alignment. And then in that chart of the discovery chart of Chariklo, there is a Star of David, so like two trines. I think we're going to have another rendition of this kind of pattern at 4 degrees. At 6. So the discovery of Chariklo was in 1997, February 15th, 1997, in Tucson, Arizona, at the Kitt Peak Observatory. And it was in the sign of Leo at 6 degrees, which is where the USA North Node is. So Chariklo is an energy, an asteroid that is very adept in holding space, and is considered to have the gift of holding sacred space for healers. It's the field of healing, and Chariklo's name means graceful spinner or spinning grace. So it's kind of like this invisible felt order from chaos, from what how Melanie Reinhardt describes it. So it emphasizes the themes of spiritual and psychic boundaries, encouraging a sense of self and the ability to say no when necessary. And it's prominent in the charts of inventors and science fiction authors, turning toward the mystical and forging an opening to the numinous unknown. So, where Chariklo is found in the natal chart may represent a place of wisdom that transcends the boundaries of the natural world, a place where you must close your eyes to see. So it's a very like space holding kind of energy, and so this is something that we really want to lean into as we move through Pluto and Aquarius, and understand that like it doesn't have to be all scary. Like all the changes and shifts and adjustments that we are embarking on is going to require a lot of grace. And, you know, like I said, Pluto in Leo generation is going to have probably the most difficult time because of this fast-moving energy, and it's going to be, you know, that energy that none of us are used to. Like, I mean, we've never experienced any of it before, so we really don't know what to expect. We have to really trust in the unknown. And Chariklo, I feel like, is giving, you know, that energy of trusting the unseen. You know, there can be this wise, like there's a wise, non-judgmental, like warmness about Chariklo. On the negative side, there can be a feeling of being victimized at a glance, intolerant, biased by gender archetypes. So this is an energy of really embracing the unconventional. This is an energy of really embracing the unconventional wisdom. So stay open to alternative or futuristic modalities that expand your understanding of connection and well-being. So there's nothing wrong with like trial and error. This is like a huge era of trial and error, and there's no right or wrong. Like it's only, you know, a shift in the timeline based on the decisions that we make, the words that we choose to use. Each step, each word just is a shift in a timeline. There's no right or wrong answer. You know, fighting degrees in 33 minutes. So Chariklo is really holding space for the people of the American people. That's kind of how you can look at that, which is beautiful, in my opinion. But yeah, there's a huge shift. We should, you know, be excited about this era that we are all alive to witness. Like, we're seeing things unfold and unfurl before our eyes, and it's up to us what we choose to focus on. And as long as we keep our heart in the right place and, you know, just hold on to that, and, you know, keep those grounding practices in place and share them, you know, like encourage one another. So no more sharing than discouraging, you know, like questioning. Like, why are you doing that? Like, instead of like questioning people's practices, maybe we can show a little more curiosity and openness to learning one another's style or approach of how to stay grounded in these times, because it's, you know, it's going to take a lot of adjusting to. So hopefully that all made sense. Yeah, the United States of America, this country will be going through a major facelift. You know, things are not going to look the same as they did last year, which is a good thing. You know, like, I think we can agree that for most of us, you know, who don't have the privilege of, you know, being in our what is it, like, high rise, away from all of the riffraff, you know, or, you know, we are like in it, dealing with the governments and dealing with the corruption and the unfairness. For those of us who are, you know, fighting the good fight and battling it, we can really feel the revolutionary spirit that is upon us in full force. So it's an exciting time to be aligned, and I feel like we will be able to like surprise ourselves as we come together, and collectively stand up. You know, this is kind of what the universe has been waiting for. And with the, aliens, Elunia Noel, in her channelings, shared the message that, the pyramids were able to see that we have advanced. Like, that's why things are happening so quickly, is because we are ready. We've shown that we're ready for the next step. Like, we're over this, life of this rat wheel life where we're not able to really enjoy the fruits of our labor. Like, we're going from point A to B without really enjoying our surroundings, or like really enjoying the people around us. And we're starting to realize, this suppression of our joy is coming to a head. Like, we can't take it anymore. So congratulations. We have, we've been through a lot. I don't want to say like we've survived. We are thriving, and we will further thrive even more in the coming years. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and thank you for listening. Thanks for sticking around, and hopefully this audio turned out fairly decent. Hopefully it wasn't too like jarring. I know I probably like interrupted myself a little bit with the audio. Hopefully it wasn't too bad though. Okay, well, happy Pluto and Aquarius, and let me know if you'd like to see how this shift is affecting you personally. That was another message from Elunia that she received from her guides, is, understanding how this shift is affecting us individually, so that we are prepared, and, we're not kind of sideswiped by some of these changes that are happening. So definitely, feel free to reach out and book some time with me to dive deeper into your chart and see how this is affecting you. I think in whole sign, and in whole sign in my chart, it's affecting my second house, and so I can see how it is. And the second house is possessions and finances and self-worth, how we feed ourselves. So I can kind of see how things are starting to take shape already. And it's going to take a lot of work, but, it's going to be worth it in the end. So I'm excited for that. So let me know where this is happening for you, or if you'd like to find out and you need help with that, then hit me up. And you can find me in the links below. And I hope to hear from you. And yeah, happy Pluto and Aquarius. And as a trine to the North Node of the North Node, so our North Node in Aries, and the ruler of Aries being Mars, is in a trine to the North Node, and encouraging us to express and go after our heart's desires, in the sign of Leo. And then the moon will be moving into Leo on Wednesday, opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So yeah, lots of activity going on. But yeah, okay, so hopefully that made sense. And again, thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoy these energies, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.